So the latest Anthem dev livestream has just finished, and with it we got quite a lot of information in various areas. I guess we start with the main stuff first, which is going over Stronghold Vanity Chests, which are going to be a cosmetic thing in the game, and also legendary missions, which should come fairly soon. There's also stuff spoken about like text chat, crossplay, more ultimate support abilities, we have the patch notes that have been updated, new skins in the shop, as well as an in-game event that's happening currently. My name is Ryan Central, you can subscribe for more Anthem content, but I will say that this is one of the last days to enter the giveaway we have going on at the moment for the Legion of Dawn edition of the game. You will be able to get this game as Anthem goes live. Like I said, we'll start with the main stuff first. There was a dev live stream with basically everybody on it talking about various stuff that's going to be in this new patch that's going to be live for launch. In fact, that patch will go live in about 4 hours time, so a lot of quality of life fixes in there. Some we've highlighted already, some others we'll highlight later on. But the two main announcements that came out of this live stream were Stronghold Vanity Chests and Legendary Contracts. Stronghold Vanity Chests, I will let Ben sort of explain it briefly, but then I'll fill in the gaps as we go on.
And so the idea that we're going to put into the game is called Stronghold Vanity Chests. So the idea is that we'll have like 100 items that are vanity driven, or personalization as we often talk about them. And as you finish a stronghold, at the end there'll be 4 chests available. And the idea is that you earn keys, and so you can earn a key by doing like a daily challenge, for example. So you can every day earn 1 key, go into a stronghold, get the key by doing a daily challenge. At least that's how we'll make them available when we launch the feature. And then you do the stronghold at the end, you open a chest and you get some vanity.
But I guess most importantly, if you play a stronghold with a group of friends and they also have keys, you will be able to open all 4 chests at once. And whatever your friends open in their chests, you will also get access to as well. So you log in, see what your daily is, you do your daily, get a key, go into the stronghold, finish the stronghold because you have to kill a boss in order to get these chests, open up a chest with your key, you get some new vanity stuff including emotes, skins, vinyls, all that cool stuff. You'll also get stuff like crafted resources, and most importantly, there's no duplicates. This is random exhaustive, meaning that every skin that you get from these, you will get new skins. You won't get duplicates, you don't need to worry about that. So it's a nice way to keep people interested and most importantly, finishing strongholds. I would assume that you'll also get more loot at the end, like actual in-game abilities and weapons and stuff, but it's hard to say at that point. A lot of people were doing strongholds, doing the first 2 chests, and then leaving before the boss because the boss took too long and it was not efficient and kind of pointless. So that's the first system that's going to be in place for the Stronghold Vanity Chests. The second announcement that came for a future patch, this will be a couple of weeks time by the way before we get this in game, is Legendary Missions, which boiled down to you playing old story critical path missions but on higher difficulties. And it sounds like they're going to start with the first couple of missions in the game, so Lost Arcanist, but you're able to play these on higher difficulties and really should be quite challenging, more so than Legendary Contracts. So this would be cool to experience story missions back in the game at a higher difficulty, and there are some really good story missions in the game, of course, no spoilers, but there's certainly some areas that I really want to play that mission again on Grandmaster 1 or 2 because it'd be a lot of fun. I'm not quite sure on the rewards on this. I assume it would be the same as everything else, just a lot of gear, but we'll have to see how they change the carrot on a stick approach to Anthem. I'd definitely say there. Next up we have some areas which I won't quote for, I suppose I'll just try and get quick answers from the dev livestream, but we have a question asking about the Apex ping system and whether that could be in Anthem.
I really like their system. I think it's actually quite clever having contextual chat. We obviously don't have it right now, and I don't know how portable what Respawn has made would be. We have to take a look.
We did ask, but yeah.
You did ask?
Yeah.
Not very, yeah, but I would love to take a look at it. I mean, one problem will be on the console controls. I don't think we have a button, so that might be a bit of a challenge, but I actually do think it's quite...
We have, it's a great point, because we have been looking into an alternate to that, like, if you want to communicate with your team, which is really what that's all about, like how do you communicate with them? And so we've talked about some other ways that we think we could leverage the existing control scheme. I don't know if I want to share all the details now.
You don't have to share those details right now, Ben.
Yeah, but
maybe now. No,
maybe now. But yeah, I think in a few more weeks here we can talk a bit about that. We have to see if we can do it. There's a few catches to it all, as always.
So it sounds like they've got ideas to use the Apex ping system or something else, which they don't want to talk about yet. But of course, another big area was text chat. The game basically needs some form of text chat in it. So again, this is what the devs had to say about that.
We are looking at some accessibility stuff. So we should kind of get clear in that message. So I don't want to kind of butcher it now by mistake. So we can kind of talk about that a little bit later. But like I said before with the ping system question, like I think really a lot of the question is, if I don't want to use VoIP, how can I better communicate with my squad mates? And
Correct.
that's kind of the thing that we're looking at. Right. And that's the thing that I talked about before that I don't have all the details on yet. But in a few weeks here, you know, we can talk about it or just give an update. You know, I'm not sure when or if or whatever we can do it, but we're definitely talking about it because we think it's an important piece of feedback we've heard from the community.
On subjects such as crossplay, they've said that they want to do it. It doesn't seem difficult to do it, but they have to go through a lot of processes in order to be able to activate it, I suppose. So they wanted to let people know that they want to do it and are working towards it, but nothing quite done just yet. They also spoke about having more ultimate support abilities in the game, something again that they want to do but much further along down the line. Especially with ultimate support abilities, they're more inclined to do these maybe over the next couple of weeks or months. But for ultimates, it might be a bit more of a wait. They also mentioned that SLI support is coming in soon, I believe with RTX, but generally proper Nvidia patches should be in the game relatively soon. Should be the operative word. I can't wait to run the game with more than 60 frames per second at this point. But regardless, that is pretty much all of the information that came from this live stream. If you want to watch the full thing, I will link the YouTube VOD in the description below when it goes live, which should be fairly shortly. But there's a lot of really cool information in here. This has all been planned in the works. And it's nice to hear that there's reasons to finish Strongholds, that there's ways to go after cosmetics in the game without buying them, and there's ways to replay missions on much harder difficulties. Another thing that I wanted to add in today's video is the fact that there's another in-game event going on at the moment called Outlaw Outrage. If you go to the message board, it says that the Outlaws have gotten bold and they're assaulting our sentry outposts, heading to free play and help us repel their advance. This was very similar to the Titan event that happened during the free demo, but it seems that that's going to make a reappearance. Going off this Windows Central article, which highlights all of the patch notes, which we'll go over in a second, it said at the bottom, aside for these changes, this Wednesday BioWare will introduce an event called Outlaw Outrage, where you'll see an increase in outlaw activity in free play, as well as a new named outlaw who has to be stopped. This weekend, the There Will Be Giants event starts with massive titans roaming the planet. Completing these events net you special rewards. Now, I went into free play and did a few missions. There's definitely a lot more random outlaws in the world, and a lot more events based around fighting outlaws, but I personally didn't experience this new named outlaw who has to be stopped. I heard Gaffalion mentioning it during his stream, but I couldn't find anywhere in his VOD where he's fighting them. But I will keep a close eye on this. If I find out more information, I'll let you know. But I certainly got a lot more reputation for the Sentinels, so if you want to grind out reputation with them, then this event is really good at doing that. Not to mention it's one of the easiest ways to also get gear in GM1 and GM2 if you're hunting for Masterworks and even Legendaries. So the event's pretty cool, but kinda slipped under the radar a little bit. The store has also been updated. It said at the top when the early access started that we'd be waiting for 10 days for new skins, but it got updated today. You can see instead of this picture, which was the first set of skins, we now have these guys in front. The skins in the first picture are unable to purchase at this point, which kinda sucks, but I guess that's the store at the end of the day. It'd be nice if you had access to all the skins as they went in, but they were heavily discounted in the store when it was featured at that point. But I guess most importantly, you can see at the top that the store changes in another 2 days, so we should have regular skins showing up in the store right now. All of these I've personally seen already, but I am excited to see some of the more skins added into the game. Now of course we have an update on the patch notes. We went over most of the important ones yesterday, but more were added. You can tell that my voice is going. I'm still pretty unwell. This doesn't help. Doing videos like this does not help, but I figured I'd go over the ones that we missed, highlighting some of the more important aspects in there. But again, not going over all of the patch notes. You can check the full patch note list in the description though if you want to take a look yourself, because I value your time and I value my throat. We need to highlight the high level fixes. They've decreased loading times on older disk drives, fixed many infinite load screens, fixed multiple challenges not tracking properly, fixing disconnects and crashes, and weapons and gears now having numbers present for modifiers. Ice damage has been fixed, it now correctly applies on all ice gear. Suit-wide bonuses from inscriptions are now functioning properly. Various bits and pieces on components and inscriptions all working as they should do, but they have increased and decreased some of the ability damages. For example, we have the weapon Deadeye. It has now more spare ammo from 10 to 20. Cloudburst has increased its damage from 16.3 to 21. Torrent has also had a damage increase 22.2 to 28.6. Raging Inferno base damage has now gone up from 130 to 175. Inferno Grenade already did quite a lot of damage, so I think Inferno Grenade is going to be one to go for, especially when it does ticking damage when a target is on fire. That's a huge amount of damage. Interceptors Cryoglaive base damage has been increased to 50 from 20. Living Flames base damage has also been increased a little bit from 50 to 60. Glacial Beam base damage has been decreased from 150 to 120, with Arc Burst secondary damage going up from 100 to 150. So not the first strike of that ability, like the second to third as it branches between targets. The Ranger's Pulse Blast base damage has been increased from 225 to 300 and now deals extra damage to shields, which it didn't do before. The devs said that this ability was going to do more damage to shields. Big change, this one. Pulse Blast is going to be really good at killing and burning down shield targets. Man, I have a really good build to highlight on this at some point. Blast damage now properly scales up in damage as the item level increases. Big change, basically the blast missile was broken all of this time. It did 220 damage, which is what it does at level 1. But it didn't go up, it didn't scale up, so the ability was trash up until this point. The Interceptor melee damage has now had some minor resistance penetration. Spark Dash basically works now and hits a target. And several gear pieces that have had missing primer or detonator icons, they've been fixed. For the Interceptor, the Tempest Strike and the Spark Dash now correctly show that they are detonating abilities, because they are. Venom Spray and Detonating Strike for the Interceptor are also primers. For the Colossus, the Lightning Coil has a detonator icon, the Shock Coil has a primer, as well as the Flamethrower. There is one that they're missing, the Venom Dart for the Ranger, that's also a primer, which they forgot to add, but I'm sure they'll do it soon. We went over the buff to the Colossus, the fact that he can lift his shield up more quickly after using an ability or firing a weapon. The Storm got fixed, he can no longer exploit using his ultimate. The Colossus can now shield and revive at the same time. The Interceptors Combo aura has been increased in power and now has a damage over time component, really good. Ranger Melee now has a cooldown while striking in the air. The Target Beacon ability now correctly seeks targets. I think before it stuck on a target, then once you killed said person it disappeared, whereas the effect should move to nearby targets as you move along. As I said, Spark Dash and Venom Spray have been fixed, and the Colossus will no longer be knocked out the sky in some situations where the attack was blocked by a shield. This was incredibly annoying. When you would block a shot from a sniper rifle, you would still get hit to the ground even though you took no damage. It was BS, basically. There was a bit of a bug before, where if you comboed a prime target, the combo effect icon at least would remain on them. Basically, if a target's on fire and you detonate a combo on them, it clears off that effect. If a target's frozen, you detonate a combo on them, they are no longer frozen once that combo is detonated. But the icon was saying it was, so this has been changed. I think they fixed a lot of stuff to do with the electric effect, which wasn't working as intended. And they fixed all sorts of various UI things and general quest problems that ran in. But there will be a shake slider in the game. You can also toggle HDR and also properly remove motion blur. So even though we were highlighting just a couple of things that were in those patch notes, there's still quite a lot to go over. I didn't want to go over the patch notes without really providing some thoughts on stuff. I think ultimately I'm going to be very focused on gameplay, damage numbers especially, but I have only realistically played the Ranger the most. I haven't touched the Storm at all. So is this patch enough to save Anthem at this point? It's a bit of a dramatic way of putting it, but the answer is no. Like, the game requires more than just a day one patch. This does alleviate a lot of the frustrating problems that the game had. So people playing on console for the first time, I think are going to have a much better time and overall much better experience, but I still feel that there's a lot that the game needs to kind of get right and work on, which I'm sure they will do over the next couple of months. This isn't a fixed overnight kind of problem that Anthem currently has, but I like a lot of these changes. It's a good mix of fixing bugs and problems, but also just straight away buffing weapons, nerfing some javelins like the Storm a little bit, so there's still a lot to do really. Like, they still need to sort out inscriptions, give people incentives to finish Strongholds. I do feel that genuinely people will be geared out in Legendary gear by the end of Feb. So I hope that Anthem do have some plans to keep people interested. I'm still going to be playing. I thought about it a lot on if I still wanted to make Anthem content, if I was still enjoying the game, even though it has been bashed quite dramatically by people. And I'm still having a lot of fun making the game. I've made a couple of videos that are yet to go out at the moment, which were a lot of fun to make, going over builds and stuff like that. And so I'm just going to keep cracking on. But But that's where I wanted to end the video. Thanks for watching. Do let me know what you think of the changes. I really like some of the buffs to Ranger especially. I've been having a hell of a lot of fun with the Ranger. It's bizarre. But this is certainly a patch that the game needs. Can't wait for it to be in the game. I'll see you guys soon. Take care.